Hi kid, and welcome to this very special Kid Time Story Time, where we have a story today about truth, justice, and the American way. Yay! Excellent! Thank you very much, Red Bear. Climbing Lincoln Steps, the African-American journey. Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln, that's his monument in Washington, D.C. Beautiful place. Now, why is it the African-American journey, but you have Abraham Lincoln on the cover? Well, there he is signing the law that abolished, that's a fancy word for ended slavery and began a whole new journey for Black Americans. Abraham Lincoln was a great leader. When he became president in 1861, many African Americans were enslaved. But Abraham knew that slavery must end. But it wasn't going to be easy. Years passed, but Abraham was not forgotten. In 1914, Americans decided to build a statue in his honor in Washington, D.C. This 19-foot masterpiece was created from 28 smaller pieces carved out of white marble. It's quite beautiful. Each one chiseled before they were put together, like an enormous puzzle. The statue was unveiled to the public in 1922 in a building called the Lincoln Memorial. You see all the steps? You see that kid sitting there? You see when you go in person, you'll see all these real steps you have to climb up to get to the top. And you see people sitting there looking out on the great lawn in Washington, D.C. It's quite beautiful. Well, since then, as I just mentioned, many people have climbed the steps leading to Abraham's statue, inspired to take another step for change. It's 1939. We're going backwards. Pitter-patter. Children in their finest clothes gather near Abraham's steps. Click, 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 click. Women follow close behind, coats buttoned tight against the cool spring air. Clomp, 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 clomp. Men in felt hats and freshly shined shoes stand by marble steps. Look at that crowd. People of all colors stream towards the Lincoln Memorial. Many more assemble in the sprawling yard. 75,000 people crowd together. Why are they here? Well, they've all come to hear the famous opera singer Marian Anderson. Marian had been welcomed by kings and queens around the world. She'd performed in stately palaces and the finest concert halls, but she wasn't allowed to sing at Constitution Hall in Washington, D.C. Why, storyteller? Well, because she was Black. Oh, that's sad. I know. Well, First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt spoke up about that. She said that, well, if she couldn't sing at Constitution Hall, she should sing at the Lincoln Memorial. Now, this is an incredible singer of great power and great fame. So that Easter Sunday, Marian's heart pounded wildly as she took her place on top of Abraham's steps. Why? Was she nervous? Oh my gosh, wouldn't you be nervous if you were going to sing in front of 75,000 people? Oh gosh, yeah, I guess I would be nervous too. Yeah, even if you are a famous singer, a 75,000 crowd, place is a lot of people to sing in front of. Well, when she began to sing, the thunderous crowd fell silent. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, to thee we sing. Land where my fathers died, land of our pilgrims' pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. The sound of change floated through the fresh April air as Marian sang the song Abraham had held in his heart. While microphones carried Marian's magnificent voice over the crowded lawns and into thousands of living rooms in the radios across the country. As her voice rose in song, Marian lifted the nation to new heights of understanding. That skill and talent had nothing to do with the color of a person's skin. When the song ended, people cheered and others wept with joy. That's what music does. But some Americans were still separated on buses, in restaurants, even in schools. Change. It happened slowly, one step at a time. So you see here, there are white people inside this restaurant, but the Black people are outside. They're not allowed to eat in the same restaurant. And that happened in a lot of places, especially in the South, not the North. Well, now we're fast forwarding to 1963. People of all colors travel by bus, train, and plane to Washington, D.C. 200,000 march for miles, eager to hear the famous speaker, Dr. Martin Luther King. I know you've heard about him, the famous and very poetic civil rights leader. There he is. Pitter-patter. Children gather. Click, click, click. Women follow close behind. Clomp, clomp. Men walk towards Abraham's steps. On that hot, sticky August afternoon, Martin shared his dream that one day all Americans would be treated equally. He called for a brighter future where his children wouldn't be judged by their character, not by the color of their skin. What does that mean by the character? Oh, it means that he was hoping that people and his children would be judged by who they were on the inside. Like their hearts? Exactly. Like their hearts, like their soul, their personality, their goodness, about who they were as people and not by the outside of their skin. Like somebody thinking that because I'm red, I have a bad temper, but it's not true. Exactly. You don't want to be judged because you're red. You want to be judged, Red Bear, because of who you are on the inside of your character. I totally understand. Keep reading. Okay. Let's see what else is happening on these fascinating steps. Well, Martin Luther King's dream echoed across that lawn and crackled over millions of televisions. Now we've moved from the radio to the TV sets. And people were listening to this peaceful man with a powerful dream. In fact, it was the same dream that Abraham Lincoln had held in his heart. Martin's speech inspired a nation. Minds opened. Attitudes changed. People united. That's the power of words spoken in truth and with love. It united people. It didn't separate people. Soon, new laws were passed. Who's that, you might ask? That's Lyndon B. Johnson. His nickname was LBJ, and there he is signing the Civil Rights Act. Soon, new laws were passed, and it became illegal for hotels, restaurants, and other public places to turn away black people. Everyone was to be given an equal opportunity to buy or rent a house. Businesses could not decide who they hired or how much they paid workers based on race. That's just crazy, isn't it? But it was the truth, and that's the way it used to be. Although some people didn't like the new laws, more and more Americans realized that everyone deserved equal rights. Oh, look at this. These are all what you call groundbreakers. Do you know who that is right there? Okay, he's holding a tennis racket, so I'm guessing he's a tennis star. He is a tennis star. His name is Arthur Ashe. I knew it! I got it right! Yay! Yeah, but you want to know more about him? Okay. All right, well, not only was he a championship tennis player who was quite famous, he became the first black man to win at Wimbledon in the singles tournament. That meant he played all by himself. And he was the first black player on the U.S. Davis Cup team. Well, Toni Morrison over here, a Nobel and Pulitzer Prize winner and Presidential Medal of Freedom recipient because of her amazing writings. Right here, do you know who that is? You don't? Her name is Mae Jemison, and can I guess? She's an astronaut. You guessed by her outfit, didn't you? I did. Is that cheating? No, not necessarily. But she was a famous astronaut and the first black woman in space. Right here, Condoleezza Rice, Secretary of State under George W. Bush. She was the first black woman to be Secretary of State and only the second black person to be Secretary of State. You know who was the first? This guy right here, Colin Powell. He was the first African American to be Secretary of State and a 4-star general. Oprah Winfrey. Do we really need to say who Oprah Winfrey is? Media mogul, super millionaire, famous actress, famous talk show host, famous philanthropist, famous everything, really. And then this guy right here, Andrew Young. I actually had to look him up. I didn't know who he was. But he was, first of all, a friend and confidant of Martin Luther King, but then went on to become the first black United Nations ambassador. So look at that. Change. It happens slowly, one small step at a time. But it's inevitable, isn't it? Progress can't be stopped. People can't be stopped from being their best selves. It's 2009. Whoa, fast forwarding to the future again. Pitter patter. 2 children run up Abraham's steps. Click, click, click. A woman follows close behind. Glomp, glomp. One man slowly climbs the famous steps. The new family moving into the White House a few blocks away, the same house where Abraham once lived, has come to visit the Lincoln Memorial. You know who that is, don't you? That's the Obama family. They went into office in 2009 for 2 terms. The girls gaze in awe at the huge statue, and it is big and impressive. Their father studies Abraham's determined face, knowing that although America has come far, there is still more work to be done. There's always work to be done. Standing together, the family remembers America's long journey. They remember the people who came before them, those who bravely pressed on and stepped forward for change. Then, Barack Obama, America's first African-American president, and his family leave the Lincoln Memorial filled with hope, the same hope Abraham had carried in his heart, because change continues to happen, one small and not so small step at a time. Now here in the back of the book, it talks about the steps of change and how millions of visitors climb Abraham Lincoln steps every year to see the statue of this great man, this great president who signed the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863 because he knew that people were equal and that slavery was wrong. And the book asks us, how can you help to make change happen? It doesn't have to be something as big as freeing a bunch of people, but it could be small steps that you also can take. For example, this lady right here, Sojourner Truth, took a step when she boldly spoke out for equality for all. She was actually a slave. She got freed. And then instead of just going off to mind her own business, you know what she did? She went off and spoke about the rights of Black Americans and women, ends up meeting Abraham Lincoln and never stopped, even though she suffered a lot of threats and harassment because of her speeches. Frederick Douglass, he also managed to escape slavery, but he became famous for his amazing writings, became a friend and a confidant of Abraham Lincoln as well, and wrote extensively about the badness of slavery. His writings are incredible, and you see a lot of schools named after Frederick Douglass, don't you? Jackie Robinson. Now this was a famous baseball player, the very first Black player in the major leagues of baseball. Now, this may seem like not a big deal because there's lots of Black players now, but back in the day, boy, I bet there weren't any others. Nope, he was the first, which meant, he had it kind of rough. Well, he did. He had a lot of jeering. People tried to humiliate him. They threw food at him. No, but he was so good. I know. And not only was he a good player, he was a good human being, and he ended up winning over legions of fans and breaking the color barrier. Wow, that's pretty impressive. It is. And now this lady right here, Rosa Parks. Oh, I read about her. Can I say something? Yeah, go ahead, Red Bear. Okay, well, Rosa Parks was tired of sitting on the back of the bus because in the South, you could only sit in the back of the bus back then. Exactly. So what did she do? She was pretty brave, She decided to get up, go to the front of the bus, where she wasn't supposed to go. And what did she do? She sat down. She sat down in the front of the bus, and she refused to get up. And then because of that, and then all these talks happened, and the people got upset, and they started talking about it, they started marching and stuff, and then the buses didn't make Black people sit in the back anymore, and you could sit wherever you wanted. Exactly. She sparked a movement against racial separation by that one simple act. Yeah, we think it was no big deal just sitting down, but it turned out to be a big deal. Exactly. Small steps. Well, they are exactly that. They're small steps. They happen slowly, one small step at a time, but look at all the amazing things that happened. And thanks to the inspiration that we keep getting from this guy, Abraham Lincoln, one of the greatest presidents America has ever seen, look at the inspiration he continues to give to people coming down the pike and into the future. I love it. Can we go there sometime? Absolutely. We'll go back again. I didn't take you the last time I was there. What? You went without me? I'm sorry. But next time, I won't let that happen again. You'll go with me, okay? Okay. All right, kid. I hope that you enjoyed climbing Lincoln steps with us and learning about all these important steps and how easy maybe it could be for you to take a small step and make a big difference. You never know. Change is always right around the corner. And how can you, ask yourself this, how can you make things better? I'm going to think about that. Excellent. And you think about it too, okay? See you next time, kid, on KidTime StoryTime.